Hi guys, I'm Joe, a geek on the road. If you're a foreigner and wondering how to buy a vehicle in Mexico, this is the right place. If you usually follow my vlogs, this video is different. I won't be showing my travels. I will answer questions that people have about how to buy a vehicle in Mexico and do the same thing I did when I bought my motorbike here. And so for context, I have a travel vlogs where I'm solo motorbiking from Mexico to Argentina. And during my travel, I've been asked a lot, how did I get my motorbike? I have an Italica DM250X. How did I get the plates? And so I thought this video would be helpful because I pretty much made all the mistakes and hopefully I can save you the trouble. And in this video, I'll be interviewing Patrick, who has his own business and who is helping foreigners like us. Just so you know, Patrick's business is sponsoring this video. So if you contact him for help saying that I referred you, he will directly support this channel. So I invited Patrick to help answer all of the questions you may have. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so with vehicle registrations, I arrived here in Mexico actually almost 18 years ago and worked in the hospitality industry.
Okay. Wow.
And it was about 7 years ago when, I was having some vehicle issues, had to change ownership, change state. And then I bought a vehicle and had to get registered. And that's, I went through the experiences myself.
Yeah, the
And
trouble.
yeah, that's how I started doing stuff for myself and then helping other people because a friend
Mhm.
would ask for help and then a friend of a friend, and it grew organically from there.
And you help with cars as well, not just motorbikes.
Cars, anything gas powered, basically.
So I guess the main question is like, can anyone buy a motorbike in Mexico
Yes,
if they're
yes,
a foreigner?
absolutely, absolutely. And so it's funny because you get here to Mexico, it's like what you can do and what they'll allow you to do. So I have
Mm-hmm.
had people where they bought a motorcycle, they want to buy a motorcycle, and the guy at the motorcycle shop or the store says, no, you're a foreigner, you can't buy that. Absolutely, you can, right? You can buy it. Not
Yeah.
all states allow the registration of the vehicle for
Yeah, that's the
foreigners.
challenge is like the plate and the immatriculation card.
The most important thing when you buy, especially a vehicle new in Mexico,
Okay.
like motorbike, is that they put down your name exactly the way it
Yes.
appears in your passport. It has to be that. There's such sticklers for that
I
there.
had that problem and I knew like people had to put exactly my name on the factura as it showed. But the problem for me was once they've print the factura, even if there's a mistake, depending on the store, mine was like, well, it's printed now, it's too late. They were saying, yeah, we can change it. Maybe there's a guy tomorrow. It took 2 days and at the end they didn't change it basically. So my advice would be check the name on their computer before they
Mm-hmm.
actually print it because it could be that they don't change it at all. And then Pat fixed it for me. Me, I don't know for some reason because I have three first names. They took the two first names and not the last name.
When they issue the factura, right? The factura is a sales invoice, a taxable sales invoice right there. They can cancel it. So if they generate it, they can cancel it and then issue a new one, or even later on, they can issue one that has a note saying a mistake was here,
Yeah.
whereas the name appears as this, the name is this. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's called a fair there at this that they put in there. So it's frustrating because you're working with people that they don't understand the system, or they're not fully trained with the system, and they have to wait for the manager. So here in Mexico, it's very much a top down kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't expect somebody on the bottom to come up with a solution for you. You have to push it up the chain to get
We were
stuff
also, for me, we're waiting for the manager for 2 days and we're still waiting. So
yeah,
yeah.
still waiting. Yeah.
But if there's a mistake, you can fix it. There's a fix. I think what you did was like selling it to myself from the false name to the true name. And then is there states, because I heard there are some states in Mexico where it's easier to register as a tourist. They allow you and others that don't. Is it
Yeah, and
true?
I mean, easy is a relative word here, especially in Mexico. Whereas here I am located in the Puerto Vallarta area, and we're
Yeah.
bordered by the state of Nayarit. So Nayarit allows foreigners, tourists, to go ahead and register vehicles in their name,
Mhm.
right? The issue is, they want a proof of address. and it doesn't have to be in the person's name, but they need to have a proof of address from somebody that lives there within their zone, and then a matching ID from that matches that address. And you put that together along with your sales invoice, your factura, and then it can be registered there. For me, it depends, So if you're here in my local area, I might suggest an IRE if you're going to be here for a longer term. If you're going to be traveling like you are, then I like to use a different state, like Guerrero, Michoacan, because I'm able to do with work at the offices, and we're able to present the paperwork remotely and send it off to them, and then they go ahead and generate that, the plates and registration in your name, right? And then that way, because here in Nayarit, you have to bring the motorcycle or the vehicle into an inspection, and they verify that it's not stolen, and it takes 4 or 5 hours of waiting outside in the sun. It's a miserable experience. So it's cheap. So if somebody wants to do it on their own here in Nayarit, all they have to do is borrow somebody's, electricity bill and the passport with the matching name to it, and then go wait in line, and then go wait in line. But it's, it's a very exhausting experience. I mean, that's why I have a business, because people are like, oh, I don't want to wait for extended periods of time. Let me pay you money to just expedite and speed this up.
Only in Nayarit then? Or is there another?
There's different states. Like I said, Nayarit, Guerrero, Michoacan. It's not even necessarily the state, because sometimes the issue that you have is that you'll go to an office and they're not used to foreigners. They know, and so they won't register because they don't know. Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but in Cabo, that's a problem I had. I went to register the bike that was to my name with a factura, and they said, no, you need permanent residency. I don't know if it was true or if they just didn't know. But yeah, and one common issue there is in Mexico is people giving different answers everywhere. Like you will go to an official,
the same office.
Yeah, like I had this issue also with embassies. Even the same person that I went to, and 2 different days would give me a different answer. So it helps to have someone to help. But from your experience, is it easier to immatriculate a bike if it's new, or secondhand is easier as well?
Typically I say it's easiest to do it new. Used, you also have to take into account that Mexico does not have a preventative maintenance culture when it comes to vehicles. So like regularly changing the oil, and hey, I hear a squeak, I should have that mechanic check it out. Here in Mexico, it's a very much like, now it's broke, now I'll fix it.
And so what problems can we run into if it's secondhand? Because I think I remember you saying that maybe the previous owner didn't pay the plates for several years, and maybe you have to catch up for them, kind of thing.
And that can be an issue, because what happens is they register it and they sell it, and then so they sell it to somebody else. Because what you see, especially with motorcycles, because they're more affordable, they'll have 5 or 6 names on the back of the factura of the sales invoice, the ownership invoice, because it's not a title here or in Canada where each person gets a new document.
Oh, it's the same doc. Okay.
It's the same document. That factura, that original sales invoice from the dealership, whoever sold it, that is the legal document for the most part. And so you get 5 or 6 names on the back, and then you go to an office like in Nayarit or Jalisco, and they go, okay, well, this person registered this in their name, but these people didn't. So we're going to charge you an unregistered owner fee for, Bob, Harry, Sally, Mike. And so now, you're like, oh, hey, I got this bike really cheap. Now the cost jumps up, because now you have, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 pesos, $300-400 or euros in extra fees.
Yeah, I guess for context is because every year you have to pay for your plates in Mexico. It's the same plates, right? It's just that in the administration side, you have to pay every year. Is that correct?
Yes, you're right. Yeah. There's things about back registration where the person here, the registration automatically renews every year and is growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
No, here in Mexico, they're automatically accruing the annual registration. And so, they might charge fees or something like that. So there's always ways to get around, but the nice clean way, is to do things right. So we have solutions for everything, but it's
for sure
hard, because people say, hey, what's it going to cost for me to register this motorcycle, this vehicle, my name? It's like, I got to see the paperwork, and which state are we going to do it in, and how, how do you want it? So it really varies, but it's best to
Is there a
buy new.
way for someone interested to buy a secondhand bike to check before they buy? Like if there's occurring fees that the owner didn't pay, can we know in advance? Or is it just kind of
Yeah,
like after the fact
the,
you have the
you'll
surprise?
you'll know because you want to see the sequence of payments, of registration payments, what they call refrendo or tenencia, and they'll have a little document issued by the state, and it will have, like 2023 refrendo, right, and have an amount,
Okay.
right, 2022 refrendo, and so you want to go back 5 years because your fiscal obligation when you sell a vehicle is to show proof of the last 5 years of registration being paid.
Yeah. And so whether people buy new or secondhand, what documents do they need to provide? Like the factura and then what
Same thing.
else?
The
Same stuff?
factura in the last 5 years of a yearly registration or
Okay.
refrendos or tenencia.
Nothing special from the current owner. Let's say you buy secondhand.
It depends. Again, if you go into the office, they're going to
Yeah.
ask for different things. But when you go through us, we have a direct office contact, right? So we have an agent there at a local office that goes in, and it's Mexico. It's all about who you know. So
Yeah.
you'll go into the same office and they'll go, no, you need this, this, and this. You need a local residency document from the city. You need, this, you need that in your name. You may or not need, because I've had people from Michoacan, contact me and say, they tell me I have to have legal residency. They tell me I have to have this. And I go, through the office that we work with, it's not required. So, it's an irony that they live in Michoacan in this Mexican state and they can't get it from their local office and they contact us to go ahead and
Yeah.
process it and
It's
then
crazy.
mail it out to them.
And so now that we're on topic of your contact, it does mean that what you do is legal. Like it's not back the street,
Absolutely.
some kind of weird guy forging the plates. It's actually all legal, right?
No. And that's why when you get the plates from us, that you can go ahead and go into the system and you enter in the VIN number and the plate number, and there in that state website, it's going to say, yeah, vehicle has no debts. So it's verifying that you're verifying with the VIN number of your vehicle and the plate number provided.
And then, but I had no problem whatsoever with your plates crossing, and I can renew them online. Like you actually send me the link that I can see my own registration, and that I go on this portal thing and just can renew my plate. So it's all legal, basically.
Super easy. Every January, remember here in Mexico, registration's due every January.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I need to, right? Am I gonna get in trouble?
No, but they give you like a little discount when you do it earlier on in the year than if you wait till later on. I think now, did you have, because it's one thing I want to touch on because I've heard it from other people. When you leave Mexico and you cross to, I believe, is it Honduras? The border guards going into this country said, oh, hey, your registration card, it says expired at a date prior to this. But it's the difference because here in Mexico, it means expedited, not expired on the cards that are provided.
Exactly. So for context, for people watching, I'll show you on my card. But basically, it's written exp for expedition. And when I tried to enter Nicaragua, Nicaragua has been the most difficult country. I've heard issues with Honduras too, but me, I didn't have problems in Honduras. It was really in Nicaragua. It was really difficult. They were saying basically your card is expired instead of like it's the expedition date. And
your card doesn't have an expiration date.
Yeah. After you reminded me when you shipped me the card and the plate, you also had included a document that which I still had that actually shows in full expedition. It's not an expiration date, so it's good to keep that paper with you as well, just in case. I mean, me, I felt like the police at the border knew that it meant expedition, but they were pretending they didn't know to get like a bribe. So just have the proof with you, so they have nothing on you, and then I didn't have to pay them anything. Eventually they let me go. All right. And what is roughly the cost of the immatriculation plate and immatriculation card?
Yeah, so it really depends on the state and location because there's different processes and miscellaneous fees. So it's best if people just reach out to us directly to find that out. But if somebody's doing it on their own, the plates are typically around 3,000 pesos, right? But when you're using a service and stuff like that, obviously it's going to be more. But have them reach out to us. People can reach out to us on Pat's Plates PV to find out.
And how long does it take to get the plates? 'Cause I think I got them like within a week, but I guess it depends where they are, where you ship.
It just depends on the offices because here in Mexico, sometimes they run out of plates. So yeah, it typically within 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks is a safe bet.
Okay. And do people need to be in Mexico to start the process, or could they do the sale remotely and start stuff at home before they come and have the plate ready?
Everything's remote. We've had people. I had somebody, I think from Monterey, somebody contact me in Europe, and they had a friend in Monterey that had found a bike for them, and so they sent us scans of the paperwork, and then we got scans of their ID, and we sent it all off, and then it was processed and mailed to their friend in Monterey. So when they got there, or shortly after they got there, the plates arrived.
One of the questions I had was like, for people wondering, can they travel internationally with that Mexican card? And I know the answer is yes for me, like in Latin America. But do you have more info on that from your different clients, or everyone has no problem like me, basically?
So far, nobody's had no problem. Driving to Canada, driving south, no issues.
Okay. The other thing I was wondering is, at the beginning, I tried to have a Mexican friend do the plates in his name. I thought it was going to be easier. And then do I think it's called like carta porter or something, paperwork.
Oh, there, yeah, a letter of power, a letter of authorization.
Yeah, so that it made me responsible of the bike, so kind of made me the owner, but the matriculation card was still had his name. And then what I heard was that if I had left it like that, I wouldn't have been able to cross borders to leave Mexico. Do you know more about that, or? So I wonder if it's an option for people if they have a Mexican friend.
Yeah, so I had somebody just contact me, a French couple, and they got stopped at the border because they had, the carte poder. They actually had it, but it wasn't notarized. Different places are going to require different things. Maybe it's a simple carte poder. Maybe they require, matching signatures. Some not only do they want the notary, but they want somebody else to go ahead and verify that they want another verification that the signatures actually match.
Yeah.
Like, so it starts getting so convoluted. You don't want to, why mess around with it? Just get the plates and registration in your name, because like you said, you can talk to the same person and get two different answers.
But if your Mexican friend is with you, because I had seen a video of a guy doing that, he was traveling across countries with his Mexican friend. I think if the person is with you, then it's okay. But if not, you run into problems. You would be glued to your friend, basically. Otherwise, nothing would work out. So then I was just wondering about licenses, because I also had a friend ask me that. I had a friend who didn't have a motorbike license and was wondering, could she still do the same process? Like, would it be legal? Maybe she could just learn to drive here in Mexico.
It's not legal. You're supposed to have a motorcycle license or endorsement, So, I mean, some people are able to kind of budget, kind of trick them by saying that, it's a European license, or it's your Canadian license is actually even authorization for like a smaller displacement motorcycles or scooters. But, it's sometimes, the Canadians tell me it takes a while to explain it to the police officer. So it's ideal to have a motorcycle driver's license, separate driver's license. We are able to provide those as well. They're a bit hokey because they come issued from municipalities rather than from the state, but they seem to work, so a little bit of something's better than a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
So we do have options for people that do need to have a motorcycle license.
And what are your requirements for that? Like, just car license, or?
No.
You can just buy it, basically.
You pass the test.
You passed
it's Mexico. Yeah, you pass the test.
My experience has been that my own French license has worked anywhere. They stopped me. No one asked me for an international driving license.
But no, not here in Mexico. They seem to be accepting all driver's licenses wherever.
Is there anything else you think that I forgot to ask, or?
Insurance is required on
insurances.
federal highways. Right. And so, yeah, you have insurance required on federal highways. You know, it's not something typically that authorities ask for. It is a good idea to have. You know, my motorbike theft is very common. Like Italica, like, where is it? Like a lot of like, what is it? Electra. So Electra, a big company here that sells motorcycles and other things here in Mexico. They provide insurance. I think their insurance is 4,000 pesos a year, but they also cover the theft of the bike as well. Right.
Yeah.
But same thing. Actually, you want to collect on insurance, it has to be in your name.
Yes. I did take insurance for a year. I think the insurance company I went with, they covered also in El Salvador and Costa Rica. So maybe if you're going down in several countries, you can do that too. But otherwise, the countries where it's mandatory, usually you can buy insurance when you cross the border. So I think that does cover everything. If you guys have other questions, put them in the comments and I could ask Pat and just complete, and other people can answer too. So that way, hopefully it's going to be a hub of information. And then just contact Patrick directly on Messenger for any question and if you need help.
Facebook is the best way to reach us. And then the other option is through email, but we do have typically a slower email response.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Patrick. It's definitely super valuable information. I'm sure that will help a lot of people. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. That's it, guys. I hope it was helpful and you got your questions answered. And just to summarize everything again, so you have three options. Number one is you do it yourself in a state like Nayarit, which are states that allow tourists to immatriculate vehicles even on a tourist visa. The potential issue with this option is that you don't really know if in the office people will know actually how to do their job. They might not deal with a lot of tourists and not know the procedures, but in theory, it's possible and it works, and it's the cheapest option. Number two is you do it with the Mexican friend. So the friend legally owns the bike and makes the plates to his name with a matriculation card to his name as well. Then you do a carta poder paperwork and you make it notarized. If you stay in Mexico, this option should totally work. If you leave Mexico, I haven't heard stories of people doing that and it working, so I can't really recommend it. And number three, you go through a service like Patrick's is offering, which is the prices option, but also the most carefree. I would say if you're on tight budget, maybe try doing it on your own first. If it doesn't work, then ask Patrick. Also, if you do choose option 3 to ask Patrick for help, I've put his contact details in the description below. If this video helped you, please make sure to let Patrick know that I referred you because he's one of the sponsors of my travels. Because Patrick helped me with Pina, my motorbike. It was such a painless process, then I was naturally referring him to travelers asking me. And so eventually I asked Patrick to actually sponsor me for those referrals. He accepted, and that will help also sponsor my travels. Thank you. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. If this video helped, give it a like so other people can find it as well. And if you're curious about my travels, I'm solo motorbiking from Mexico to Argentina. So consider checking out my vlogs and subscribing not to miss anything. Bye guys. I wish you epic and safe travels. See you in the next video.